What's happening, guys, and welcome back to Commotion Podcast. Tonight, we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of Scot Rockafellow. He is a craft brewer, opening up a brewery here in the town of Pulaski, about 30 miles away. We cannot wait to try some of his beers and just shoot the shit. But before we get started, I got to give a shout out to Brad. Sport Around Trophies hooks up the crew, as well as all of the guests with custom tumblers. Brad, we appreciate it. If you're looking for awards, trophies, custom engraving, anything like that, look him up on social media platforms at Sport Around Trophies and Awards. And you can give him a call. I have a cheat sheet. 540-613-1892. Let's take our hats off and get this thing started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh boy, man, you come highly recommended, not just as a good human, a veteran, but as a craft beer enthusiast. So Jared Stout, those fellas were on the podcast, man, and we just started talking about it, and they were like, how do you not know Scott? And that seems to be the consensus amongst, like, I get guests in, and they're always like, how do you not know him? How do you not know him? So how do you know the Jared Stout boys?
I reached out to Jared in regards to the brewery project, and, since I moved here, I guess almost 6 years ago, I've heard about him. I've listened to him, seen him. And so I just kept reaching out to Jared, and they were actually coming up, I think, from Asheville one day. And, And got him to swing into the house. And they came by and got to try some beers and
nice,
and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, he said you had some awesome beers. Ladies and gentlemen, Scot Rockafellow's in the house. I am so excited, man. Like, since I moved back from Nashville, I was brewing nonstop in Nashville. Just loved the process, Finally got to an all grain setup, and I did brew in the bag a bunch. It was just easier for the small batch stuff that I was doing. But ever since I came back, not a lot of people have that same interest in this area as like Nashville and, kind of the more metropolitan areas. So to hear that somebody is fresh and bringing something to the area is awesome, man. How did you get into that? Why is that something you want to
do? I've been working in the craft beer industry now for 14 years.
Oh, okay.
I moved here about 6 years ago. I was in Colorado for 7.
Oh, there you go.
When I got to Colorado, landed a job, with a company on the marketing side, doing a lot of point of purchase type products, signage and stuff, and working directly with breweries on their marketing programs.
Nice.
Their new launches and things of that nature, and what markets they're going to hit each year, and
sure,
and how they want to target each different types. And when I got into it, I just fell in love with craft. When you're in Colorado, it's very easy to fall in love
You're
with craft.
either high or drunk, right? Or you're like, like that's Colorado to me in a nutshell.
It is. When I made the decision to leave Colorado and move out here, because my sister is out here and my brother-in-law's out here. And, I came out to be closer to family in general. A lot of my family's up from Pennsylvania, and my daughter's down in Alabama, so it just kind of
East Coast, man.
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier to see everybody.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, this area reminds me of like old school Colorado.
Yeah.
It's Colorado was great back in the day, and now California's moved in, and it's not so great.
Same with Nashville.
Yes.
Yep.
And since once I got here, the one thing that blew my mind is how far behind this area was in craft beer when I first got here.
It's wild, man.
And since then, luckily enough, we've had some more breweries finally open with Eastern Divide and Moon Hollow and Maroon Door and everybody, and which is exciting to me. We need them. I mean, it's so I decided I wanted to open up a brewery when I got here, and started the process of doing my research and everything. And I honestly was really trying to put it here in Christiansburg.
Okay.
And I just didn't get any help from Christiansburg.
Sure.
And so there's a little bit of bitterness there. But
So with the town being involved,
With like, I hear that Pulaski is kind of helping you out a little bit and making it possible.
Yeah, you know what? Pulaski's been amazing. It's, to be honest with you, it's a friend of mine, Joe Cromer, here in town. He's a State Farm agent guy.
Okay.
He, he knew a gentleman by the name of Luke Allison with Aggregate Capital down in Pulaski, and they're really doing everything to revitalize that town. And they were talking, and they found out about me. And one day, Luke Allison and Brady Deal, who used to be with the town, showed up to my house. And at that time, who's the gentleman who's going to be my head brewer is his name is Scott as well.
Okay.
And fantastic young man. I mean, he's a data analyst up in Roanoke, and he just got a mind that can, really work a recipe.
Yeah.
And, we were brewing that day, and we ended up, Luke and Brady showed up to my house, and they're like, hey, we hear you're looking to open up a brewery, and what would it take for you to put the brewery in our town? And I said, what town?
Yeah.
And he said, Pulaski. And I said, I don't know about that. I've heard a lot of horror stories, and people have warned me to, about Pulaski. And
Yeah.
and they're like, just, come down to the town. Let me show you the town. So I agreed. I went down there, spent an entire day with them. And, I had been there before on the outskirts. I went out to Gatewood Park to go kayaking
Sure.
and things of that nature. And that's always a great spot. But I never spent any time in the town. And after they showed me 9 buildings and walked me through the town, met a lot of people, met the sheriff. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And it just, I kind of fell in love with the town. There's a lot of great architecture there. There's a lot of old history there.
Man, so Pulaski used to be, with all the factories and everything, that downtown, like the mom and pop eateries that were in that place, the old theater, all of those buildings, it's stuck in time, man.
Yeah, it was just super, super cool. We went through all these buildings, and the very last building is the building that I chose. And it was the perfect vision that I had. I had this specific vision that I wanted for this brewery, and a lot of it was primarily about the outdoor space.
Okay.
So this property gives me a full acre of land that it sits on right in the heart of downtown.
Yeah.
So,
and that's vital, man. Creating that vibe. One of my favorite experiences, and I wish I could remember this brewery, but it was in Colorado, and the outdoor, they had these big garage doors that would open up to the outdoor. There were fire pits, like cigar lounge too. Like you could do the whole thing. And they had like cornhole and every single thing, and music, and the vibe was just, it was a place you wanted to be.
Absolutely. And so I told the town at that point, that, this is exactly the type of place I was looking for. And it came down to, really how much.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We went inside, looked at the building, and the building was a nightmare.
Oh.
Hole in the roof, two holes in the second floor. You couldn't even get to certain parts of the second floor because of it caving in.
Yeah.
The building is an estate that if the town doesn't do something with it now, it's not going to last. It's going to fall down. Yeah. Just like the other building that was next door, where the skateboard park is now.
Okay.
And, so I said, look, I would love to do the brewery here. I just don't have the funds to renovate a building from 1910 that's in this kind of shape.
Sure.
So we went through everything, had a lot of discussions. They brought up the industrial revitalization grant. Thought it was a great opportunity. The state's doing a great, backing with the town doing a revitalization. And we applied for it 2 years ago and we didn't get it.
Okay.
So, but the state really liked the brewery for Pulaski. So they were behind it, but there was people who didn't get it the year before that ended up getting it.
Okay.
So you can start to learn the kind of process on all this. And
yeah.
So we reapplied. And obviously the last week of last year, Governor Youngkin announced that the town was awarded the grant for the brewery.
Nice.
It's really huge. And I've been, blessed enough to be able to talk and reach out to people like Dave McCormick, who's the owner of Beal's Brewing Company here in Virginia.
Yeah.
he built deals under the same type of program under the Industrial Revitalization Grant as well.
Nice. So you kind of have like a format and a structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was, being able to chat with him for a few minutes and kind of get a good understanding of how it's done and why it's done. And that's kind of where we're at. It's
nice.
For me to, without, the state's help of revitalizing that building, I wouldn't be able to go in and actually build my company in there.
Sure.
And now that was a big thing for it, is that, okay, give me the shell that I can work with, and then I can build my company inside of it. So, and that's really what it came down to.
Awesome. So how big of a system are you planning on putting in?
We're in negotiations right now, but originally I was going to put a 5-barrel brew house in there.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good size.
But a brewery in Tazewell shut down, and I think we're probably going to be acquiring his full system.
Oh, okay.
And that's a 3-barrel system, but it has some 7-barrel tanks.
Okay.
So we'll be able to do some double batching and things of that nature.
Nice.
And honestly, after looking at everything, it kind of flows really well with my business plan, and the fact that, we're looking to have 20 taps downstairs and another 5 taps upstairs.
Nice.
And rotating a new beer pretty often.
Yeah.
If we can do it every week, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It just depends on how much everybody drinks.
Sure.
So,
Sure. So what are you thinking? Are you going to have, I guess, is there like a theme to the brewery, or is it just kind of?
The overall, brand in itself, when you look at Great Wilderness Brewing Company, it was, I came up with a name, based off of the Great Wilderness Road that came through here, Route 11 back in the 1600s. When you look at the Great Wilderness Road, there's a lot of history on it. It was, this whole area in the New River Valley was lined with rest stops and taverns back then.
Yeah.
And we have the Great Wilderness Museum out in Pulaski as well.
Yeah.
And it kind of made sense. And I'm a bit of a history dork, so I like that kind of old stuff.
It's cool. It's a cool story, though.
Yeah. And, so I felt that the name went well with the area and some of the historical parts of the area. And, so when we look at the overall theme, it's really about history.
Yeah.
I'm preserving the inside of the building as much as I can.
Oh, that's cool.
So when you go inside, it'll be all, open brick, open ceilings type of deal. You see all the woodwork. When you go upstairs on the second floor, because upstairs have a big dining area. On the second floor, it has these massive cross beams and these huge iron tie rods that crisscross.
Oh, that's
and
killer.
actually go through the building with bolts on the outside of the building, which ultimately holds the building together.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to be able to open those and show everybody that kind of the architecture from back then.
See, I love that.
Yeah, and when you look at inside in general, I'm not a huge TV person, so I'm not looking to have televisions in the brewery.
I got you. But you're going to have live music, right?
We are going to have live music.
See, there's the caveat.
It's for me, it's I want people to talk to each other. It's a family environment, and upstairs we're going to have a couple, probably 2 or 3 real dartboard lanes upstairs.
Nice.
We're going to do some shuffleboard. We're going to do a couple old school arcade games.
Killer, man. I love that. Have you seen what's that big board that basically it kind of slides across salt? What are those things called?
The shuffleboard.
Is that a shuffleboard? Mm-hmm. Like the little shuffle, like it's on a table, right?
Yeah, it's on a table. It's like 12 feet long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those things are killer, man.
It is. It's, I was up in the VFW up in Pennsylvania. I used to play on a shuffleboard league up there.
No way.
There's old school places like that with the veterans and stuff. You see a lot of that stuff. And we're going to do, there's a local guy right in Pulaski. He actually makes cornhole boards.
Cool.
So I'm going to be working with him on creating our cornhole boards and stuff. And he's also making tabletop cornhole. So we're probably going to have
we're going
to have at least one set of tabletop cornhole.
You better get
upstairs.
You better get extra towels, man, because there's going to be a lot of craft brews spilled.
We'll see how that works. With some people, it's things like that. Is what we're really looking to do.
Yeah. You got to want, I know me as I get older, typically the craft beer crowd is like 30 somethings plus, a little older. And we don't like that loud, noisy, aggravating, or at least I don't. I think I'm over it. I was in the music business, so I think I'm over all the stupidity in the world, but somewhere where you can go to just sit, do some, have an environment where you can connect with folks and chill. That's great to hear, man.
Yeah, I mean, outside, because we have so much outdoor space, we're looking to build a large outdoor covered stage. We're hoping to be able to have it for our grand opening. It may have to happen in year 2, depending on how a few things are, because the state came back and said we couldn't work the stage into the grant.
I got you.
So we're kind of reworking a few things
Sure.
on that. Worst case scenario, I have some farmers locally hook me up with a couple hay wagons.
Get you a flatbed.
Rocking it. Yeah.
So just so you know, that's my specialty. If you ever need any help, that's what I did. I did production on a grand scale.
Nice.
Yeah, I toured. I was in Nashville, and that's what I did. So I'm your sounding board, whatever you need, man.
Yeah, and
I'll be here.
that was one of the things with Jared and the boys coming out. I wanted to show them the blueprints of the stage that we're looking to build and kind of get their input on it. And it's the best way for me to really kind of design a stage. Is to get musicians' input on what they like, what they don't like.
And I'll tell you from a management, because I was the one that I basically approved all the staging. We built the stage. We did all that stuff. I will be happy to tell you some things that you'll run into. So we'll chat after the podcast of some requirements that I think that go unnoticed. Even bands have no idea that it's happening behind the scenes, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. We'll have some wood burning fire pits outside along the creek side. We're going to do obviously a ton of cornhole outside. We're going to get some involvement in with the American Cornhole Association and things of that nature, and just utilize that space. I'm looking to hold 4 major brew festivals at the property.
Nice.
Since we have the space, might as well pull something out in Pulaski, similar to like Brewdo in Blacksburg. But a little bit more isolated on what we're looking to do.
Sure.
We're gonna. I know for me, for one, we're gonna do a spring, summer, fall, and a Christmas festival.
Nice.
I know we will do a big beer fest. Where basically when we bring in these breweries from outside of the state and inside of the state as well, where they come in and basically the smallest ABV will be 9%.
Nice.
So, and I was talking.
I'm here to party beers.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, the cool thing is out in Colorado when you sit down with Adam Avery, who owns Avery Brewing Company.
Okay.
And they had a big what they called their Strong Ale Festival. Yeah. And you go there and you're tasting beers that are 18, 22%.
You're chewing them.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
When the thing that's amazing about it is when you watch a brewer who can, keep a yeast alive, get to that, that state.
Golly.
It's a craft to get a beer that big.
Yeah, man. Their starters are potent. Those yeast starters, man. I know with mine, my biggest one was, I want to say it was 11 and a half, maybe. It was called the Circus Freak. It was Circus stood for Chocolate Imperial Coffee Uber Stout is what it was, and it was a big dog. And I remember I was like, I thought my yeast had died because it suspended, and I was like, oh gosh, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna throw a little kicker, and it kicked back up and heated back up. I was like, whew, it was getting cold, I started worrying about it. But so what's your favorite style to do?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I like beer in general, so there's not much I don't like.
Yeah. If you had one beer that you could drink the rest of your life, Coors Light, right? All day.
Oh man. I will say this. There is certain beers that you'll always find in my fridge. Yeah. And it's Busch Light and PBR.
Nice.
It's just
James PBR. James will drink a hell of a PBR.
I like that old school style beer.
Dude, man, something about if I'm mowing my yard, I'm not coming in and getting like a dogfish IPA, I need a cold Coors Light or something.
I will say though, when it comes down to like some of our beers and stuff of that nature, it's, we have an amazing cheesecake sour line.
Oh no.
Yes, and all of our cheesecake beers have won gold or best in show.
That sounds great. Logan, I think Logan's. What do you think about that, Logan?
That sounds amazing.
Cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were down at we sent some beers out to Texas, and our blackberry cheesecake sour won best in show, and
Shit the bed.
our American lager actually won gold in Texas as well, which is
Nice,
great 'cause
man.
it's an American lager state. So
Yeah.
to win there was really super cool. And
Yeah. Are you going to be doing any lagering at the new place?
yes, we do a lot of lagers and pilsners.
Nice,
So
okay.
and we do some unique stuff. A lot of what we do is experimental stuff. We'll have some regular style beers. Just because it's important to have those. For me in Scott, it's really about, I love to show people what you can do with craft.
Yeah.
Whether it's, one of our cheesecake lines or it's we have a whole lemonade sour line as well.
That sounds good too.
And we do all of our souring with lactobacillus. And we really manage our souring, levels so that it pretty much mimics the tartness of the fruit.
Yeah.
So it's not so gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So you can actually drink more than one.
That's the thing. Sometimes if it's too much, it upsets my little tender belly.
Yeah. It's and you guys will have one today. Actually, I brought a sour New England IPA.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That is killer.
and a lot that we do is not always sour. I mean, we did a killer pineapple upside down cake, and it was stupid.
I love it.
It was so good.
And that's what I love about craft beers, because it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's awesome because it's like, well, we've got this pineapple, upside down licorice, malt. You're like, what? The flavors that you wouldn't expect, like a sour, IPA. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. But from traveling, I know like this area has not seen like creativity when it comes to like crazy beers, like the West Coast.
And we have a few things up our sleeve that we haven't really announced to anybody yet, but there's some super, super cool beers. I mean, right now, if you came over to the house, we got a Cinnabon Amber Ale that's just killer. Tastes just like a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
So it's crazy. So it's all that, that kind of stuff. And, which leads me into really, my staff and the consumers as well, as because I want them to feel part of it. So with us, it's, every single one of our employees is going to have that opportunity to sit down with Scott and I and work on a beer that they love and write a recipe on their specific beer. Then they get to brew it with us, and they'll name it and everything. And probably at least 3 times a year, we're going to do the same thing with consumers. So we'll have different kind of events where somebody will get the chance to come in and do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's for anybody who wants to learn about beer. And
yeah, we had one down in Nashville. It was more of a brew pub. It was a restaurant, killer restaurant, but they had, it looked probably a 5-barrel. It was pretty big. But they would do contests, and at the end, the winner got to brew on the system, and it was on rotation for X amount of time, which I always thought was a cool way to get the local brewers, kind of going. Because there we had, you didn't have to drive 100 miles, to get some grain. That's one of the problems I've noticed here. And when I went to a couple of the locals, it was like not really had the biggest selection. So do you do a lot of like kind of smaller batch testing things, and what's your go-to source to get all your stuff?
So yes, we actually built a 20-gallon system at my house.
Nice.
So I have 2 15-gallon conicals and a 5-gallon conical.
Okay.
With a glycol chiller and everything in the house. We had to put a 60 amp breaker in my panel just to run the damn thing.
Electric, I'm sure, right?
It's electric. Yeah. It's electric. We're actually going to run. We're going to run electric at the brewery as well.
Nice.
And we should be able to do pretty well with it at this size. And
your electric bill's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. When it comes down to some of that stuff, we had to really look at, the building in itself. What do we want to get into? And electric works really well with the space.
Good.
So,
how long does it take to bring up five barrel system to a nice rolling boil?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out today.
Yeah.
Have you had, that's got to take a while, right? I guess the heating elements are,
in this
relative.
one here, I think there's 4 elements in there.
Okay.
So I mean,
About a foot long sticks.
they're like 2 feet long. I think they are. They're huge.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So you have to keep the tank off the wall so you can actually get back there and actually load the electrodes into it. So
yeah.
but because they go in all the other sides. So,
Yeah. So for people that don't know jack shit about brewing, walk the layman through the process. Logan doesn't know anything about it. He knows how to drink it, but so walk somebody through the process of building your grain bill all the way to that first sip.
I mean, once you create your recipe and you identify the different types of grain that you want in your beer, and whether it's for color and this to style and things of that nature. I mean, you're going to create your water profile. Well, water is key.
Yeah.
Good water makes great beer.
Yeah.
So you're going to do all your water chemistry.
Let me stop you there. Did you pull the profile from the water that you're getting, or you haven't? Are you having it brought in?
We have.
Yeah.
So one thing that we weren't able to do is the line that goes from the building to the main, because it's the original line.
Okay.
And the town was scared to open it to test it because they don't think they could get it closed again. So I told them, it's like, that has to be replaced.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to replace the line because they can't open it at all.
Sure.
So it should be replaced to begin with.
Sure.
Eventually it's going to cause a leak in the main line and stuff of that nature. So
how was the profile? Is it pretty good?
For the reservoir, it's great. The water profile in Pulaski is better than it is in Christiansburg.
Okay.
For brewing.
Gotcha.
So, Christiansburg water is it's not hard enough.
Yeah.
Here when we brew beer here, we're currently we're doing it off of distilled water.
Okay. Yeah.
So and then we're adding everything back in.
Yeah.
And then that way we can match our water profiles to the style of beer.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's kind of like when we do our water, we make a watermelon kolsch, and so we identify and match our water profile so it matches the water profile for the country of Cologne.
Gotcha.
So
that's cool, man.
Just different things like that. It's the science side of things, and
yep.
So it's then you're gonna getting everything into your mash and processing everything over to the boil. It's they say Scott always tells me brewers make great wort, yeast makes great beer.
Yeah,
I say that's true.
It's true. So, if you got some weak yeast, it's not gonna finish out to the gravity you want.
Yeah, honestly, we I brought in our first attempt at our gluten-free Pilsner, because we're going to have a full gluten-free beer line.
Okay.
And some of it, like this one here, we brew with sorghum and rice. And we made it.
What? How weird is that, dude?
It's super cool. So you guys get to try it today.
Oh, you brought it?
I did.
Okay.
Some of it, we found a company out in Colorado that actually does all gluten-free grains.
Really?
So like buckwheat and millet and stuff like that. And,
okay.
So we're going to be utilizing some of those for the different styles that we'll do on the gluten-free side.
Yeah.
We'll isolate we'll have specific lines strictly always dedicated to gluten-free. That way we don't have to worry about contamination, or any of that kind of stuff, especially when somebody's got celiac and which leads me to this beer here. So this was supposed to be our gluten-free Pilsner, but, not paying attention to it originally was the yeast strain that we ended up using. We realized after I pitched it that it was the yeast strain that was cultivated on malted barley.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's more like 99% gluten-free on this one.
It's like being water resistant, but not waterproof.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to rebrew this again. We have a yeast strain that was actually cultivated on maple.
Okay.
And then that way it'll be 100% gluten-free.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard of people going out in the woods and just picking up a piece of wood and just that natural yeast, just throwing it in there. It's like, no, I don't want to. I spent a lot of time getting it to this point. I don't want this natural yeast to depend on it, as part of the deal.
People have cool ships all the time. The open air fermentation is insane. There's
some of those huge vats that they've got.
There's a brewery that actually has a cool ship that's inside a cave.
It's wild.
It's so cool looking.
Let's try that beer. Now you got me at my lips. Like, what was that one? The gluten-free one?
Mm-hmm.
Can we try that?
Absolutely.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
So what he's doing right now is he goes off camera. He brought this killer little cooler in, and me and the boys are going to give it a shot.
He's actually still on camera.
Oh, he is on camera?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
We got that nice one now.
Hey, buddy. So do you bottle all your beer?
I did.
Okay. If you guys hear pitter-pattering, I apparently have elephants that live upstairs, and they run constantly through my house, a.k.a. my kids. And what's the style on this one?
Pilsner.
Pilsner. Okay. I'm excited. Get your little cups. All right. Thank you, sir. Get a little sniffy sniff. Oh, that smells good.
This one?
This is the worst time to have allergies because I can't fully get the the notes that I want to get. That smells. From what I can tell, that smells great. Do you filter your beer at all?
No.
Okay. So tell me about it. Tell me a little bit more about it. What am I expecting here? I'm gonna get a picture of this for the social medias because that's the only way you survive anymore is social media.
We also just lost our big camera, so
Okay.
just on this now.
So with the gluten free here, we're at 6.5% ABV,
Okay.
32 IBUs.
All right.
All right. And so with this one here, so it was brewed with rice and sorghum, and we ended up bittering it with Magnum hops, and we finished it with cashmere.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm a huge fan of cashmere hops.
Cashmere hops. Yeah, I've used a ton of Magnum and Centennial. I tried to grow Centennial in Nashville. It wasn't the best.
So it's sorghum and rice has sorghum's got a very unique flavor profile.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful with it. Too much sorghum will really give you like a nasty flavor.
Yeah. It's got a real slick tongue to it, if that makes sense. It's like a different texture to it. That's wild, man. It's a very approachable
It's easy.
beer. Yeah.
It's easy drinking. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do with our with this Pilsner.
Yeah. What yeast did you use on this?
You know what? You would ask me that.
Yeah.
I don't have that on me.
Okay.
So, because it was the wrong yeast.
I got you. You know what? It almost, and this is probably because of my sinuses, I'm going to make a jackass out of myself. It almost feels like a Belgian style finish on it. That to me, I don't know if it's like never having like a rice or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of got that almost like a finish of a Belgian. Yeah, to me, that's just me. But of course, my allergies are absolutely ridiculous right now. So it could taste completely different tomorrow.
No, absolutely.
Oh, I do like that. It's not super overly carbonated, so the profile feels really good, man. That's a very approachable. That is a beer that you could drink. You know what I mean? That you could just enjoy and not think about too much.
It's 6.5%. So
yeah, it'll creep up on you.
It will creep up on you.
Yeah.
So.
See, my wife loves a good session ale. Very approachable beers. She's like the typical Sierra Nevada. She'll take one of those type. Just real easy going. But she also likes stouts, and she like Belgians. Like Allagash and some of those. She would love this. Yeah, this is Kim. You're gonna have to get on this when we go up and is this one of the ones that you guys are pursuing that you want to try to have on tap?
Yes, we will have this on tap.
Okay.
Everything that pretty much you guys will try today will eventually work its way on tap.
Okay.
My goal on this brewery was that I wanted to have 20 competition beers and 40 recipes completed before we opened. Wow. And right now we have over 50 recipes completed And we're at 29 medals and 6 best in show.
Dang, you overachieving yourself right now, man.
Now, honestly,
I love it.
It's fun to talk about that.
Yeah.
But really, it was just trying to get the feedback from BJCP judges.
Okay.
That's these certified judges who really know beer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they can sit there. And I'll tell you the funny story is on our American Lager that we won gold in Texas on, we didn't win originally. We had sent it to Malt Madness up in Pennsylvania. And at the time, we had put 5% corn in it.
Okay.
And they caught it.
They dinged it.
Yeah, they caught it. And they're like, great beer. They said, remove the corn and readjust your grain bill.
Yeah.
And so Scott went back and removed it and changed the grain bill up. And then we resubmitted it down in Texas and we killed it.
How do you think they caught it? Just a mouthfeel?
Yeah. I mean, when people know beer, especially like on judges and stuff of that nature, that's, they're skilled enough to be able to pick up certain things. Mm-hmm. For us, we liked the overall profile of it that had it in there, which led us to creating our Mexican lager. Okay. And that won gold as well.
You just use straight dirty water, right?
No, it drinks a lot like Modelo Special.
Okay.
It's
James loves the Modelo still.
Yeah, it's
talking his language.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We used a bunch of flake corn in it.
Yeah,
and that's one of the styles you can use corn in.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, acceptable. What do you think, Logan? What do you think, brother?
On this one, honestly, I'm drinking this again.
Okay.
When we come down there, I'm definitely getting this again.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I like the, it's ridiculous to say, but the approachability of it, I think it's going to be popular for you. Plus it's quenching. It's not like one of those beers that, if it makes sense, like one of the heavier beers or one of the real hop forward beers.
Sure.
They're almost like you're drinking it for the experience, not with a meal. I feel like this is delicate enough that you could definitely pair this well with like a salmon or something like that.
Yeah, and the thing is we actually dry hopped this thing with cashmere.
Did you? So you did it after. Mm-hmm. Did you do Magnum all the way to flame out?
No, it was just the initial bittering with the Magnum. And then we had a delayed addition to cashmere. Okay. And boiled, then we dry hopped with cashmere.
Do you dry hop pellets or do you do the actual flowering?
Pellets.
It's
haven't seen much of a difference.
Yeah. Dude, I probably lost a gallon just for those things soaking up. I've dry hopped on them before. And in a small batch, 5 gallons, and you're pouring out and you're like, wait, we got like 40 12 ounces out of this deal,
Yeah, you can lose a lot, really quick. And, for us, that's one of the things that we will have to deal with, because some of our, when you use as many adjuncts as we like to play with, we'll lose some beer.
Yeah. And that when I was brewing, one of the things that I really, really liked doing was using local. Like when I was in Nashville, I went to the Nashville Coffee Brewery, got coffee. I'd go to like a chocolate, whatever the proper word. What is it? What is it? Artisan?
Chocolatier?
Yes, sure. Chocolatier. That's perfect.
There you go.
And I'd go and I'd get, their chocolate just to try to do like the natural stuff. And, then I'd go to try to recreate that, and they'd be like, "We don't make that chocolate dish." I was like, "Dang it," because I've done some of the spicier chocolate to see if it would translate, and habaneros and stuff like that. And then I'm out of luck if I try to recreate it. So I'm like, "Dang, I got to be careful if I ever, pursue this," but I never did.
No, earlier you had asked where we get our grain.
Yes,
and stuff,
yeah.
And for the most part, we get everything from Southern Hills Homebrew Supply up in Roanoke. Certain things, if they don't have what we're looking for, we'll go to Eats in Blacksburg.
Okay.
Eats has been fantastic on certain things. If they don't have it, they can special order it for me.
Nice.
Especially with this system here. Not many people in the area, from a homebrew standpoint, can do 20 to 40 gallons.
Yeah. I've got a 15-gallon. 2 Blickmans and Edelburner. It's kind of my setup.
So when you do some of these beers and you're asking for a shit ton of yeast, and they're like, we don't have that much here.
Yeah. Do you use the what is it? Is it the Y yeast, or do you use labs?
We use a lot of white labs.
Yeah.
It's
Liquid.
It's been great.
Yeah.
We will be using some dry yeast as well. We use some dry yeast already, and
I think I pitched that one with the Safe Ale. Is that what it is? The 0.005. I think that's the one I used on that one. But I never did the smack packs, and stuff like that. I only did one yeast starter with the kind of deal, and that was on one of the heavy ones because I really needed it to start. Are you going to try to batch out your yeast and keep it?
We will on for certain beers. One of the cool things for us is we make an amazing Oktoberfest. It's a traditional German Marzen.
Yeah.
And we actually save our yeast from our Oktoberfest and we feed it to our pumpkin lager.
Oh, that's killer, man.
Yeah. It's, I'm not a huge fan of like crazy pumpkin beers.
Yeah.
It's
such a fine balance. You can screw that shit up so quick.
We make 2 different pumpkin beers and they came out fantastic.
Yeah.
And, the pumpkin lager I couldn't stop drinking.
Yeah.
And then this past year we didn't want to make the pumpkin lager again, so we actually made a pumpkin cheesecake, and it was great.
Why are you my best friend? So I tried and miserably failed with a kind of pumpkinish beer. And I used, what was it? A little bit of the allspice, just a few things to try to make it. And then I did like a cinnamon stick tincture, tried to do all that. And I tried to get like a graham cracker style finish on it. And you talk about just gumming. I mean, it was nasty. And it clogged everything.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Concrete. Welcome to.
Yes.
It's you got to have a strong day. Don't go to the gym that day. Especially, like for some of our big beers and we're using real graham crackers in them and you're working it.
Yeah.
So that'll be a challenge at a bigger system because we won't have a rake on this first system.
Yeah.
So with a rake and plow, it kind of changes things, makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But we're going to do an old school way here.
OG wood paddles.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. Are you guys going to have food and stuff, or
we are? We are.
Trucks?
We're going to do both.
Okay.
We are putting in a kitchen. We're going to do flatbread pizzas. We're actually going to do soft pretzels from a local bakery.
Awesome, man.
And so our chef in itself is Matt Tolbert. He's the Serendipity chef.
I was going to say I've heard that name.
Yeah, it's a great guy.
Okay.
Does amazing food. And we're going to do some unique things with flatbreads, and we're going to bring in food trucks. We're also going to have a massive outdoor grill. So when we're doing live music outside, we can run the grill if we want. But we're also going to be doing some specialty dinners where there'll be tickets to buy.
That's nice.
So we'll get into like some 7-course and larger dinners where we actually pair beer with every single course.
And that's what we need, man. See, I would be there. That's what I've struggled with since I came back. We used to, my wife and I, we're foodies. We just like the experience, and some of the, we just don't have that here. We joined University Club and joined a bunch of places, trying to find like a cool pairings and just good food. And it happens, Chop House and a few places are decent, but just, it's non-existent, man. It's like this place stopped progressing at a certain point sometimes. So you're like, man, can we just get it? Can we get to it?
Yeah, one of the things that I pitched to town of Pulaski was, coming out of Colorado, the town of Louisville,
okay,
they did it right. Man, they when they revitalized that town, the town Main Street's the same size as in Pulaski.
Okay.
But what they did was they came in and they grandfathered every business that was there, and all new businesses coming in that for Main Street, they had to either be a restaurant, bar, or brewery.
Okay.
And they killed it.
Yeah.
I mean, all your other ancillary businesses went on First Street, next block down. And I mean, they had this really cool coffee shop. It was a coffee shop and bakery, and they actually owned a garage behind it and this whole alleyway, which is like separated from the brewery that came in. And they ended up putting like fire pits in. They were doing some live music in the alley.
That's
and
awesome.
They converted the barn, I mean the garage over to a bar, and as well as the backside of the bakery. And so during the day, it was a coffee shop and bakery. At night, it switched over to a company called Pour, which is it's a wine bar.
Oh, that's killer.
It was great, you know. So it was that kind of like thought that kind of put it. And what it ended up doing is it created this amazing nightlife. You know, people will come in, and it's such a foodie area.
Yeah.
You know, Boulder, Colorado is a big foodie town, and
Big time.
you know, and Louisville's right next door to it.
I was going to ask what part, because I've never heard of Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville is right next door to it. It's where if anybody remembers the big fire that we just had, it burned all those homes down in Louisville, and our home that we had in Louisville actually burned to the ground. So if we stayed there, we would have lost our home.
Dang, man.
Yeah, our neighbor, we still talk to him. His home's still not built. It says it's going to take him 3 years, you know, and it's just super sad, you know, moment that happened to that town. But it's, you know, when you look at it, you know, what they did on Main Street, and they didn't bring in a bunch of chains. You know, they had one main restaurant, which was the Melting Pot, which is a fondue joint. It was super cool because the Melting Pot came in and they built that using all the reclaimed lumber from the coal mines. And you walk in and it looks like an old coal mine. Super, super cool.
I love melting pots, man. Been to a bunch all over. It's just a cool vibe.
So that's what I was talking to the town at Pulaski about is, you know, trying to bring in, you know, restaurants, you know, these additional food places that aren't your chains. Like Christiansburg's loaded with chain. I mean, I think there's every chain restaurant known to man here.
If they had a Chili's, listen, I am a sucker for Chili's. One, because it's Chili's, so like if you're a Caucasian male, you have to go to Chili's, get a margarita, and get the honey chipotle chicken crispers. Why wouldn't you? Right? Yeah. I mean, that's just living. That's living your life. But outside of Chili's, I don't like chain restaurants. I just don't. It's just not my thing. You know. I'm a huge supporter for the small guy. Yeah. You know, we got Bull and Bones right down the road here. You know, we got Sandros that came in. Yep. We order Sandros all the time.
Their pizza's amazing,
dude. Their freaking calzones are like an elephant's ear.
You know, my brother was just here from Pennsylvania, and he came in and we ordered Sandros, and he's like, dude, he goes, this pizza is like Jersey Shore pizza.
So good.
It's like nobody else has been able to compare to it. And so
we DoorDash the shit out of Sandros. Like the only thing that I think we DoorDash more is probably, we've got this thing lately, dude. And I just told you that I don't like chain stores. If I'm super hungry, I'm give me some Cracker Barrel, bro. Bring it to my house. I mean, now we got Noodles and Company coming in. Okay. You know, to Christiansburg Marketplace. You know, it's another chain. Yep. You know, and they're bringing in the Rice Bowl from Roanoke. Yeah. Even though that's still private, but he owns a couple of them. So, which is kind of cool to have it come down. So, you know what I'd like to see? I wish they'd get kind of more of that Kansas City vibe, like the Louisville vibe, where they've got the Power and Lights district. Do you know anything about those?
You know, I've been to Kansas City one time.
So it's basically just this kind of open area that's got a stage that all the major bands come through and they play it. And then it's surrounded by nightlife, and they're not really chain stores, but you've got like Gordon Biersch, you've got like Butcher Blocks and places like that, and Maker's Mark restaurant, certain things like that. But they do it, and they do it right, and it's like a fire pit, and it's covered by a huge glass awning that's kind of between the buildings. And that's the vibe. You know, Louisville did it really, really cool. They did kind of what you're talking about from the Colorado, the town there. They revamped like all the old gas stations and stuff like that and just made it, you know, dual purpose. And I don't know. I feel like this area is dying for that. So hopefully you're going to be the kickstart that starts that for Pulaski.
I hope so. You know, it's, you know, like I said, you know, besides our flatbreads and stuff, you know, on the weekends, I'm looking to bring in, you know, food trucks, you know, whether it's, there's a really cool Thai food truck out here and stuff of that nature.
This? Is that the Thai this? Yeah, Radford.
You know, and the wife of that owns that, you know, it's husband and wife. Yeah. And she works for a Korean, you know, hospital. That's where I actually met them.
Oh, really?
And super, super great people.
Yeah.
And so just a lot of different types of food trucks is what I'm looking to bring in.
Yeah.
You know, Cabo and stuff of that nature. You know, a lot of what these guys already do.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, by having that, there's nothing else in town yet, so it kind of just brings that other element to the area.
Bro, and could you imagine, and they're doing a bunch of street work last time I was down there. I had to go do a title search or a deed search on a piece of property, and like those streets are dying for that vibe. They really are. They are the perfect, you know, the perfect buildings, the perfect setup for that like nightlife / you know, revitalization zone. And I think with what the state has granted Pulaski and bringing you in, and man, I hope it works out like and just grows and grows and grows.
You know, and then on top of it, you look at like the Calfee Center, you know, and Pulaski, you know, the state just awarded them, you know, I think over $500,000, you know, to help with that renovating the old school.
Yeah.
And what they're putting in there is just amazing. I mean, you're talking about childcare, which, you know, and things of that nature. They're having, you know, dual kitchens and stuff like that, and, you know, doing meals and all this kind of stuff. They're doing a museum in there. And,
That's awesome.
you know, it's a big thing on the history. You know, it's and if if anybody's not familiar with the Calfee Center, you know, pull it up and look at it. They're doing amazing stuff. They need everybody's support. It's a nonprofit, you know, but they're going to do some amazing things for the community.
That's killer. Yeah, check it out. Pulaski County, Virginia, coffee. There's a lot of history. I mean, Coffee Park, you know, that name alone has a lot of deep history in Pulaski. And I know, you know, we had Matt Hagan on. He's one of our friends of the podcast. He's been over here multiple times, and we've had a good time, you know, and his family has dumped a lot into Pulaski, you know, with the ballpark and doing stuff like that and just trying to do it. So I think it's on the uptick, man. I think you're coming in at a prime time, bro.
Funny enough, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting either Matt or David yet.
Yeah.
So it's you know, I'm sure that'll come around one of these days. So
yeah, we'll go up there for a beer or something.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's just so much going on in that town, you know, or you know, starting to happen, and you know, so it's exciting. You know, it's exciting for the area.
Yep. Hey, and thank you. While I'm thinking about it, your hats. He hooked us up. He hooked up James, me, and Logan with a killer hat. Are you going to be pushing like kind of some swag for folks?
Yes.
You know, every brewery's got cool merchandise, man.
Yeah, you know, honestly, in my main job, it's a lot of what I do.
Okay.
And so I'm a huge merchandise guy. You know, I love cool shit. You know, I love, you know, like I said earlier, I'm a bit of a hat whore. I like certain hats. And,
Yeah.
You know, this hat here is you know, I do a couple different legacy hats right now. They're, you know, these soft mesh trucker hats are fantastic. There's a couple new ones. Had a big meeting today with 99 Apparel down in Georgia, another veteran company.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a lot of things together with T-shirts and things of that nature. And, you know, part of me is, you know, a big thing is involving as much local, as much veterans as I can as well.
And thank you for your service, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about that. Like, how long were you in? What branch? All of that.
Just I was in the United States Marine Corps. Did 4 years active, and as motor T.
Okay.
And but you know, the Marine Corps for me is everything, and it's you know, my whole family is the Army. I was the only Marine out there. So,
okay. So the jokes are just constant between everybody.
Yeah, you know, I like to harass them because we can, you know.
Yeah.
So
stronger, right? And that's the thing. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, my uncle, you know, who was in for 42 years, and he's
Dang.
like, he's like, why the Marine Corps? I was like, so it's better, you know. He's like, you're such an ass. So,
it's a simple question, simple answer, right?
yeah, no, it's good. You know, a lot of my buddies are in the Army, and a lot of my Marine Corps buddies actually had got out of the Marine Corps, went into the Army as well.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a bunch of cross-platform.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what branch, and you know, that's a big part of the brewery. And you know, and one of the reasons why I wanted to build the brewery is it gives me that platform for my veteran outreach.
Great.
I'm a huge advocate for 22 a day.
So let me stop you there. We, back before the pandemic hit, you know, 22 Buddy Check here locally. We had a couple of those guys on. And gosh, I think we've got a veteran crisis, you know, that they brought in and a few things like that. And they meet in Radford at the McAdoo's and just that outreach alone is just amazing, the amount of people that it touches.
Yeah, It's sad. It's sad for me to say that, personally, I've lost 17 guys, to suicide, and
that is heartbreaking.
It is, and a lot of people don't understand the mental issue of everything, and there's not a lot of people there to help.
Yeah,
and and that's what we're trying to do, and that's part of the goal with the brewery is a lot of that veteran outreach. We're looking to have gatherings every month, and for me, it's when we were figuring out what we were going to do for the brewery, we had to be aware of everything else. It's the reason why we're doing. Like I said, we're doing a gluten-free line because people who have celiac, things like that nature, they still like beer. They just can't drink it. But also, when we look at the veteran community, a lot of our veterans have substance abuse issues. So it's like, why would you hold events at a brewery, like that?
Logical question.
And it's the reason why we're doing our whole craft soda line. So we'll do like our own craft root, like root beer and cream sodas and stuff like that. And we'll rotate some different sodas, and as well as our non-alcoholic beer line. We actually just finished a non-alcoholic Irish Stout.
No way.
Yeah. So, and
I bet that's it. So. Did you pull it off is the main question.
That's good. Well, I'll have you come over and try some.
Okay.
I'll have you come over and try some.
All right.
So it's, the first round did not come out well.
Not so much.
Well, you know what? It had a great nose to it. Flavor profile is good. It just didn't have the body we wanted.
Yeah.
How
do you get that without?
It's hard.
How do you get it?
It's hard. So it's, you'll see when you come over and try this next round. And, but that's an important thing for us is the our non-alcoholic line of beers, and as long as it's under 0.5%, it's non-alcoholic. It's so we reduce it down so that it's that low, so that it can qualify. And that's the way the majority of them are in the market. There's only a couple of them out there that are doing 0.0s. Okay. So, but the equipment to do something like that is just stupid.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Stella makes an amazing one, by the way.
Okay.
Stella.
I don't know if I've had it.
Yeah, Stella.
I've had Stella, but
yeah, they do a 0.0. It tastes just like the regular one.
Really?
Yeah, they got the money to do it though.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah, Stella's great, man. I went on a Stella kick for probably a year straight. That's all I wanted. And is it Stella Artois?
Yes.
Damn it, I nailed it. I always second guess myself when I'd ask for one. I'd be like, I'll take a Stella Artois. Artie? Artois, whatever. Man.
Yeah.
I was, genuinely very good, very great, very pleasing to the palate. That was a great beer. Thank you for sharing that.
We got 3 more to try.
Oh gosh, let's get to it. And don't threaten me with a good time. What's up next?
Let's take a look here.
All right. I am excited. James and Logan, y'all gotta get on this.
Oh yeah, that one was really good. And that last one was really good. So I'm excited to see what he pulls out of that magic box next.
And he's got the American flag bottle caps. So do you bottle condition or?
No, actually, I don't usually bottle anything unless I'm going to something like this.
Gotcha. So you just fill it and throw it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's right now. I built a kegerator. I got 8 taps in my kegerator.
Nice.
So yeah.
So you're trying to do this for a living. You're trying to make this thing right.
Yeah. So this next beer that you guys are going to try is something new for that we ended up doing.
Okay.
Something that you don't really see. So we actually. What sparked us to do this is we actually make a champagne beer.
Okay.
So super dry, it's just a really great beer. We serve it with orange juice as a mimosa.
Nice.
And it's great for those people who say they don't like beer.
Okay.
And so everybody that all my big wine drinkers have been over, they sucked it down really quick.
Yeah.
So decided to do something different, and Scott came up with this brilliant idea of, when we started working on a new brute, we decided to do a Prosecco.
Okay.
So, and this one here, we ended up doing with some white grape juice, pear, and apple. Nice. And so it came out really, really unique beer.
All right, sir. I am excited to try this one. What's ABV?
I'll tell you here in a minute when I pull it up.
All right. Little more carbonation forward. It's got to on the champagne beer. It's got a great color. Very nice. James, what do you think, buddy? That first one was good, wasn't it? Yes, sir.
You got enough in there?
Oh, man, I'll take as much as you want. Thank you, sir. This one looks filtered.
Nah.
Not filtered?
No,
Just carefully poured.
Oh no, it's I mean, we'll use clarifying agents.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
Whirl flock, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll use whirl flock.
Moss.
Yeah.
Nice, man. All right, so tell me about it.
Hang on, I'm just sitting back here.
Okay.
It's got a nice nose on it.
Yes.
So on this one here, we're running at 6.5% again. We're only 17 IBUs. So it's a brut ale brewed with white grape juice, pear, apple, and Nelson solvent hops.
Okay.
So you get a lot of bright.
It's very floral.
fruit.
Yeah.
But it's got a nice dry finish at the end of it.
Yeah. Very no tongue, like it's just very, very cleansing. You make a refreshing beverage.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So with this process, do you do bright tanks and really try to get it? Nope. You just kind of do your thing.
Yeah, everything that we do is in conicals.
Okay.
So
I saw the stainless that you had there.
Yeah. So we just do a conical tank, and we'll just we use whirl flock on the clarifying side of things, and just
nice.
finish it off.
Just tell you, there's something to be said about staring at it. A lot of people don't get the value of what the beer looks like, and knowing the white grape. And did you use concentrate, or did you actually do like a mash type situation?
No, we use concentrate.
Okay. So you didn't have a bunch of the pulp and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's very, very clear, and it tastes like it looks. Honestly, it looks refreshing, and it's very champagne-y, man. I like it. It's very beautiful.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll do some unique things like this. Scott did an amazing beer. He had some friends of his that were they were having a baby, and they were doing a gender reveal party.
Yeah.
And they asked Scott if he could brew a beer for the party so they could have some beer there. And Scott's like, well, if I'm going to brew a beer for a gender reveal party, I should brew a beer for the same color as the gender.
I was going to say, is it blue or pink beer?
It was blue. So he ended up brewing a blue raspberry sour.
Awesome.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
He dumped a shit ton of raspberry puree into it, and then finished it with a boatload of blue spirulina algae.
Oh, nice.
And the algae just turned it this beautiful blue color.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a picture of it on our Facebook page and our Instagram page.
That's killer, man. Those things are potent, those algae.
Yeah. And we've done some other cool ones. We did a really cool butterfly pea flower tea Pilsner. And
excuse me.
Yes. So
what is it? A butterfly
pea flower tea. So it's our Pilsner, and we finished it on butterfly pea flowers. And
what the hell is a butterfly pea flower?
It's a tea.
Okay.
So it's an herb. It's a flower.
Okay.
And when you get the whole flower, a lot of bars and stuff, like really cool mixologists, they'll get a butterfly pea flower extract, and they put it in. It makes these really cool, bright blue type cocktails and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen they'll swirl it through it or do something cool with it.
And so we use the actual flower, and then so managing your pH levels the right way, you can actually get it to change color. And we got it to turn into this really cool purple color.
Nice. So you didn't dry it out? Did you say you dry hopped it with those? Is that how you did it, or?
Yeah, you finish it in secondary once fermentation's complete. And just dump it in there and let it just soak in there.
That's killer. So were the flowers dried, or did they have a little bit of?
They're dry.
Okay.
Yep, they're dry, just like you would do. Because literally, I have a jar on them on my counter, and we make tea in the evening. If we make hot tea, dump some of that in there. It's really good for you.
That's killer. I got to check that out. Man, I'm really impressed, my friend. it's so ridiculous that my allergies are the way that they are because it's dumbing everything down. I hate it.
It's all right. We got 2 beers here that'll wake you up.
Got a couple nose busters in there.
Yeah, dude. The last one. So we'll do the next beer that we'll have is our sour New England IPA, and then we'll finish it with a peppermint porter.
Oh gosh, do not threaten me with a good time, Scott.
So that peppermint will wake you up.
I love that, man. I need to get back brewing, man. You know, we've got a client right now that we're finishing up. They're purchasing a new home, and they're moving up from the North Carolina area, and he's a brewer. And one of his kind of prerequisites on a house is he's got to have an unfinished basement so that he can make it what he wants for his, you know, he does all grain. We started talking, and I was like, this is not going to end good because I'm going to fire my stuff back up next thing you know. But I do propane, and everybody's like, man, you just got to get an automated system. Just get a system. I've got the pumps, got all that stuff, but so you can convert, you know, to an all electric with what I've currently got. It's got too many hobbies, man. It gets too expensive.
Oh, beer can get very expensive.
Golly.
So, and that's one thing a lot of people will see too is like, you know, because some of these beers that we do, you know, aren't cheap to make.
No.
You know, and you know, so that'll be a little bit of a learning curve for some people.
Yeah.
And you know, certain pours will be certain dollar amounts and things of that nature. And
I know when I did my big boy stouts and stuff like that, for like a 10-gallon grain bill to be $160, $170, you're like, how many beers am I going to, you know what I mean?
I can tell you the first time that I really experienced like a really unique, like expensive beer was actually at Avery Brewing Company in Colorado, because their barrel aging process is amazing. Like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they change because they lost their cellarman to Denver Beer Company.
Okay.
But what he was doing was amazing, and he did this killer sour that was done with tequila barrels and all this kind of stuff. I bought a growler of it. It was like $140 for a growler refill. And
Good Lord.
yeah, but you know, but the ABV was there. It's like 18%.
Oh gosh.
You know? So I mean, you're not gonna sit there and drink that by yourself. And,
Yeah.
You know, but it's understanding what's in the growler. You know.
Yeah.
So
That's still a lot.
it is.
That's a hell of a growler.
Yeah, you know, I like to buy, you know, every now and then I'll treat myself to a really expensive beer like that, and it's, but it's worth it. You know, it's when you really understand what you're having. And
Sure.
the guy gets this killer beer. I'm going to do a bottle exchange at my house one day and have people come over with some really cool rare beers. And
Awesome.
I've got a beer at my house that was done by Upslope Brewing Company in Colorado that was never carved, and it's actually it looks like a bourbon bottle.
Nice.
And so it's meant to oxidize.
Okay.
So like you can open it, pour a glass, recork it, drink it later. So it's supposed to be, and it's like, I think it was bottled at like 23%.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's
basically melting the inside of the
you know, so it's a lot of those different things, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
How long do you age any of your beers?
Some we actually will be doing some different aging that we will do. You know, like our Belgian Dark Strong. I mean, that thing alone has to sit for 9 months before it's ready, anyhow. But it's you know, we'll do a couple different barrel aging beers. You know, we have a really cool blonde ale that we're going to brew with cucumbers and mint and age it in an oak barrel that had gin in it.
Oh wow!
So so we're going to do a lot of I got a couple of recipes that we're going to do with some cognac barrels and things of that nature. And
that's awesome.
I know the guys, Jason and Jason over at JH Bar, they're fantastic guys. And we're going to work on doing a collaboration with those guys on aging one of our beers in their bourbon barrels. And as well as I've got a gentleman that's got a moonshine barrel that we're going to age a beer in some moonshine. So
how long do you think the shelf life is on, say, a stout? How long do you think you can?
The you know, I got some bottles of I got some stouts in my fridge that were bottled back in like 2014.
Really?
Yeah.
So that might still be a good bottle of beer up there.
That just depends on what the ABV was.
It wasn't super high. Yeah, let me look.
Some of these big beers will hold really well.
This was a little guy. This was my first one. Oh, I didn't even write it on it. What type of rookie mistake? That was my first one though. Oh, 4.5. Yeah. Yeah, she's probably dead.
It's good to open up.
She's dead in the water.
See if you get a surprise when you open it up. Oh, look at that. See?
Oh, dang it. We might need to try it. It was actually a really good beer.
Yeah, I've got a really cool coconut porter that was done by Avery, and that was bottled at 19%. And that one I've been holding on to since I think 25, 26.
What yeast survives?
Shit, that's hard. That's hard. I mean, you have some of these yeast strains that are made for big beers, but that's a talent, and that's what I'm challenging Scott with, because Scott knows that that I want to still in some of those really big beers, and I know we have a rum barrel aged coconut porter that we do.
Ooh,
and he knows that I want to push a version of it to over 18%.
Oh my
so.
gosh.
And so he's got his work cut out for him. He's got to, we're actually getting ready to go to the Craft Brewers Convention, which is beginning of May. It's down in Nashville this year.
Okay.
And so he's going to be in a lot of classes in that. And so we'll see which classes he pulls. And, and that's what's so great with the Craft Brewers Convention is, no matter how long you've been in it, and the brewers are great with each other. They'll go down there and you learn from each other, different techniques and things of that nature. And, I'm fortunate enough to have been in the craft beer industry long enough that we have great contacts. So,
sure,
we can reach, friends of mine who have a Lakefront Brewing Company out in Milwaukee. They do a killer line on gluten-free beers, and they've been a lifeline for us on working on our whole side of things. And I mean, they had a gold medal winning gluten-free Pilsner at the Great American Beer Festival.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they just did a margarita version of it, so it's just crazy.
What?
Oh
my God. Dude, I was just thinking back to, when I toured, and we went to Great Divide, and I had their Yeti, out in Colorado. I think it was Great Divide, right? That's Great Divide. But they had like 10 different versions of the Yeti. They had double barrel stouts. They had, dry hopped with, XYZ. And then they had some that were done in like brandy barrels. Mm-hmm. Brandy barrel aged stouts are insanely tasty.
Yeah. I'm a big cognac guy. I mean, I love bourbon. Don't get me wrong. Bourbon's my thing, but I'll never pass up good cognac.
A little that cognac on the backside of your tongue, jaw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, let's take a minute. We'll get to one of our sponsors,
okay,
and then we'll come back and let's crack open some of them little nasties.
Hello.
Hey Drew, it's Rob with Thacker Real Estate Group. I actually got your number from Brad. He had mentioned that you had a house to sell in Virginia.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we actually met. Yep, that's me. Hey, I thought you might want to chat. I'm in the area right now and would love to stop by.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Oh, nice. What are you watching?
Oh, just some scary movie.
I love scary movies, actually. If you have time, I'd love to stop by and talk about selling your house.
Uh-huh.
The first time we talked, you said that you might have been talking with someone else.
No.
I know for a fact that you're talking to another realtor.
What did you say?
I said I know for a fact that you are talking to another realtor. I mean, you want to play these games, answer the phone like, hello, and all that stuff. We went to dinner with Brad and Angie like 2 weeks after that party, and you're sitting here talking to me about selling your house, and now I find out it's somebody else?
Look, I gotta go.
It just kind of hurts, Drew, I thought we had something. We had such a connection. I just want to know who.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
No. That's more lies. I'm pretty sure that's what you're watching right now on TV. You can end it now. Just tell me who, Drew. Tell me who it is.
The guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters.
Oh, I knew it. Oh my gosh. Of all the people that you could have used. Bye, Drew. This is goodbye.
And we're back. Good Lord. So, I've heard through the grapevine that you have 2 beers left, and they are Smacky Mama good.
Absolutely.
Nice. I like the confidence, my friend. So tell us about this first one. What we got?
So the next one that we're going to jump on to is our Sour New England IPA.
Oh, yes.
It's actually a little lighter than the last two. It's 6.2% instead of 6.5.
I don't know if I can do this one.
It's 33 IBUs.
Okay.
So it's a kettle sour New England IPA base, hop with El Dorado and Amarillo hops.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a lot of juicy like mandarin orange notes with some really nice acidity to it. So
Yep. El Dorados, those are good, man. I don't know that I ever brewed with them. I don't think I did. I stayed kind of safe, with Centennial and Citra and Magnum.
We've got a new IPA up our sleeves right now. It's got 2 new hops in it. So,
okay.
Yeah, and if you come by the house, actually, we still have our double IPA on tap.
Oh yeah.
And that one was done with Vic's Secret and Sultana.
Okay. Yeah. So that's rich. That's rich, right?
It's 9.5%.
Okay.
So it's a big boy.
Killer.
So
this one, what were the names? Have you named your other 2 yet?
we have not. So because we have so many beers, we have a process that we're going to be going on with specific names and things of that nature, and utilizing some history and things of that and all that.
Nice.
But we're not going to announce any names until the brewery opens. So.
Killer, are you going to have custom taps and all that stuff made, or are you just kind of going to do the chalkboard writing, rotating style?
No, most likely we will run the only screens that I'll have, except for a projection screen for Virginia Tech games. Of course, we'll do it. We'll do a projection screen, but we will have screens behind the bar for Untapped.
Okay.
So that way, with us rotating so many beers, it'll be able to make things a little bit easier.
Nice.
Instead of like having to have somebody get up there and write it on a chalkboard. So, even though I do like that kind of appeal. So
yeah,
it
it's
takes
nice.
a little bit more.
After a while, though, it just looks like a smeared mess, and you're kind of like, what is that?
Exactly.
Yeah. As you get older, my eyes suck, so I'm trying to differentiate if that says IPA or.
Oh, I know that feeling. So.
Awesome. So what is the style? Say it one more time so that I can get it in my head.
It's a sour New England IPA.
Awesome.
So it's awesome. Kettle soured.
And what is the difference?
So we actually do a souring process in a kettle.
Okay.
As opposed to doing it in a barrel.
Okay.
So doing it in a barrel is dangerous because you can end up contaminating your whole brewery, and everything that you make will be a sour. So,
gotcha. Yeah. So for the people that don't know, the process of souring a beer entails what?
Utilizing lactobacillus. So we can dump,
which can be a bad thing.
It can be. When we do the sour, we put lactobacillus, in the boil kettle, and we just let it ride. Yeah. And as soon as we check the pH, when the pH gets to the level that we want it, we fire it back up and we kill it off so that it stops souring. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll get super crazy.
Super Band-Aidy on you.
Exactly. Yep. So
cool, man. Well, let's give her a shot.
Let me grab that glass of yours.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, sir. A little sip. Logan's in line. Ooh, okay. That's okay. I've got 20 years more experience on the on the drinking side of things. James, you want some of this, brother? All right. All right.
What's that?
All right. Oh, yeah. That smell, the head. I love a sour, man. I am so anxious to taste this.
Go for it.
It's like something that is probably going to be really good, but it shouldn't be on paper. It's like this shouldn't be good on paper, right? Or maybe it should be.
What the hell?
Oh, yeah. You are a dirty girl. That has the perfect amount of tartness. You captured that very, very well. It's not like grapefruity to a certain extent, for me at least.
Yeah, depending on how your palate is, you know, you can pull out of that mandarin orange.
Yep.
And
yeah. And that's the balance that I find. Like if it's overly tart, it gets that too sour, too grapefruity, too puckering, you know, not as much mandarin / lemonade pucker, if that makes sense, but
Yes.
like you know, this is going to give me a bellyache type, you know, but this is great.
yeah, and that's the whole point in a lot of our sours, no matter what they are. Even though our blue raspberry sour was a little bit tartar than we
See,
expected.
but that's okay. I expect a raspberry to kind of have a tartness to it, right?
And that's really what it was, is, you know, raspberry itself is very acidic.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you used to go to sour, it'll grab. It's like, whoo, it just
It's
kind of
like,
runs
woo.
with it. But, you know, at the same time, it's still really good. I mean, you're still going to drink multiple glasses of it. And that's
Yeah.
really what it's all about for me, is that, you know, I want people to be, if you really enjoy this beer, I want you to be able to enjoy a couple of them, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to being able to have one and be like, man, this is going to turn my stomach if I have another one. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just ripping me apart.
Yep.
So, and
It's a fine balance.
because there are some sour beers out there that are like that, especially when you get into, like, you know, different ways of souring with
Yeah.
Brett and stuff of that nature. And,
Yeah.
you know, they can start to get that more chemical side of the sour.
Yep. That's what I was saying, kind of that Band-Aid-y, like plasticky, chemically, you know, type thing. This is great, my friend.
Thank you.
I think you guys might sell a beer or two.
Yeah, I second that. This one's actually really fantastic. This is probably my favorite so far.
So you didn't like the other ones? What is wrong?
No, that's the problem. I've liked all of them. Gosh, this one takes the cake on it though.
You know, there's something about, you know, it's not a home brew for you, but there's something about a home brew to me. Just knowing the process and knowing the you know, meticulous nature that goes into getting the water, you know, the whole deal.
And I can tell you, you know, Scott is just, his mind is amazing. And when I was in search of a brewer, I had put it out on the platform
Yeah.
here that I was looking for a head brewer. And, you know, he ended up responding. You know, I met with so many guys, so many great guys. You know, there's so many great brewers we had here. We actually have a gentleman from Roanoke who is actually now brewing for Stone Brewing Company in Richmond.
Okay. I love their arrogant bastard.
Oh yeah, I mean, Stone does great thing. What's interesting with Stone is their Buena Vesa, their salt lime lager,
Yeah.
is outperforming their IPA, which is their flagship.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so you're going to see a big push with them with their Buena Vesa because of how well it's doing in the market. It's a fantastic beer. If you haven't had it, you
I
gotta try
haven't.
it.
No,
So,
no. Sorry, go
you
ahead.
know,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I put it out there and met with so many great brewers in the area, and tried a lot of their good beer, and Scott reached out to me, and you know, I asked him if he had any beers that I could try, and he's like, you know, honestly, he goes, if you really want to know what kind of brewer I am, he goes, let me brew something specifically for you.
Oh, that's perfect.
I said, okay. So he's like, what would you want me to brew? I said, how about a milkshake IPA?
Okay.
He's like, what the hell's a milkshake IPA? I said, you know what? That's the same response I got from a lot of people out here. I was like, you know, Midwest and West Coast been making them for quite some time now. And I was like, you know, do your research and make one, and then let me know when you're ready. You know, so then he made one, and he reached back out to me and said, you know,
Did he use lactose?
yeah.
Okay.
And so he reached back out to me and said, you know, hey, I've got that beer ready for you and some other beers of mine that I want you to try. So I went up to Roanoke. And by far, he was the most professional person I had met, you know, on the homebrew side of things. I mean, literally, he had everything printed out on paper. He had his whole thing set up at his house and with tasting glass and and so I asked him, I was like, what did you make? And he said, I made a mango milkshake IPA.
Oh, dear Lord.
And let me tell you something.
What a chemist.
It was on point. It
Mango.
was fantastic. And, you know, so we went through all his beers and it was like the perfect fit, you know, it's his presentation, how he, you know, and he's young, you know, But to have the palate that he does is fantastic. And, so, we've been working together for over 3 years now and doing this. And now it's, and we've got a young lady that's, out in Pulaski. She's a brewer, and, I know she wants to open up a brewery down there as well, and, I'm excited, to get her in, as a guest brewer. We've talked about it and stuff of that nature. So, and her name's Rebecca. And, so it's, she was actually in my, we went to Virginia Tech for their business of brewing program. And,
okay.
And I met her at that class, and, so it's gonna be nice to get some more local people involved.
Yeah.
And working on some cool pieces like that.
Heck yeah, man. What I was telling you before is one of my favorite ones that I ever did was just a habanero stout. It wasn't super chocolatey, how, chocolate malts and certain things will kind of get that heavy mouth feel. But it was a big boy. It was like upper 10s for me, at the time. And I'd actually grown the habaneros at the house, and I wanted a really good stout that kind of was like, what is that? That, because you can make something vegetal and it'll turn me off like right away. I hate vegetal beers. I've never really had a good experience with like jalapeno beers or anything like that. Just because for some reason that just overwhelms me, but the habanero is not really a vegetal taste anyway. And I made those, put them in 22s. Bottle condition. I didn't force carbonate or anything like that, and just let them sit. And they aged probably 6 or 8 months. I did them in the spring for winter, because I'd always, when we lived in Nashville, I'd bring a beer up here for our Christmas. That was kind of like my thing. And I brought them, and I'd say, what do you think the secret ingredient is? There's a secret ingredient in this, And they'd get that, just perfect lacing, it was just that thick, almost like milkshake lacing. And then they'd kind of go, what is that? And it was on the back side of it, and it would light you up for a second, just enough to where it wasn't, there was no vegetal quality to it, but it was a nice, strong stout, that wasn't super tongue heavy, but it was thick, and it would surprise you, man. That's my favorite beer I think I've ever done, man.
Yeah. You guys will have to come by. Seriously, so many people come by. I welcome anybody to reach out to me. And
Logan's like, yep.
When they want to try beer and stuff. It's a lot of people. I've met so many amazing people here who've reached out to me and said, hey, I hear you have beer at your house. Do you really mind me coming by and trying beer? Absolutely not. That's what it's there for. It's I love the public to be able to swing by and
shoot your address out over the. No, I'm joking.
Right. People are clever enough that they know how to find me and they know how to reach out. And, so like right now we're getting ready. We have a new West Coast IPA that's gonna be killer. I can't wait to try these new hops in it.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be coming out as well as obviously our new gluten-free beer. That's gonna be coming out, and I've got a young lady who is actually from Pulaski who's got celiac, and she's agreed to come out and be my taster. It's always hard with people like that, because it's it's nerve-wracking because you want to make something right. You want to make sure that everything's sanitized correctly, so that there's no cross-contamination. Because like for her, she's got celiac, and she's it can cause major problems for her. So that that beer is getting ready to come out in the next couple of weeks, as well as a lemon blueberry cheesecake sour.
Damn it!
Yeah,
Logan, James, what's wrong with him?
The thing is, I don't think anything is wrong with him. I think it's perfect.
You think it's perfect?
I think it's perfect.
I just want to come hang out, man.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into some new beers, as well as a lot of our sodas are going to be coming out over the next few months and into the summer. Our root beer and stuff like that will be coming out.
Awesome. So what's the process like to do something like that? I have zero clue.
Sodas are basic. It's extract stuff
and then carbonation.
Yeah, we have a few proprietary ingredients that we're going to be putting into our root beer and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
To kind of give the profile that we want.
Okay.
And that's usually what you do. It's,
yeah.
It's just to make something different.
Sure.
The goal is that it eventually, especially being, family friendly and stuff. It'd be love to be able to do root beer floats and stuff like that at the brewery.
And I had a buddy that brewed with Music City Brewers, and he had one called a Gym Sock IPA. I'll let you figure out why it was called Gym Sock IPA.
Names are hilarious. It's kind of like Clown Shoes Brewing Company out in New York. They have their Tramp Stamp IPA forever.
Oh my gosh, man. Some of the funny, like I've had friends that have brewed, but never really like part of an association, but knowing that, like Jim Sock IPA, and my buddy was telling me that he was switching over and he had hopped everything with leafy hops, and he was trying to keep it semi clean. And when he was doing the transfer, he didn't have a way to push it through, so he was just kind of skimming hops off, and then he was going to lift it and do the transfer. And he dropped it. And when he dropped it, it was in the fall, and a bunch of pine needles and like stuff like that. It was on a table, just contaminated. But he was like, well, I'm going to boil it, so I'm just going to do that. I can't remember what he called it. It was something like backyard, like something trees, or I can't remember, but he had a bunch of debris that ended up going in his beer, and so I couldn't taste it. I couldn't tell you if there was like a maple leaf in it.
I mean, you can put so much in it. I mean, we do a dark saison that we do with mulling spices for wine.
Yeah.
And it's super, super cool.
Yeah.
So it's sky's the limit what you can do. I mean, you see some of these guys and they throw like fruity pebbles in their beer,
yes,
and all that kind of stuff. For us, like, we had, one of the big things I told Scott was I wanted to enter some of our beers in Colorado, because Colorado's got some amazing certified judges out there. And so they had their Sweetheart Revenge competition out there, and Charlie Papazian, who's like the godfather of craft beer, who started like the Craft Brewers Association and everything. He was one of the main judges at that competition. So we sent 4 beers out there to see how well we do in a big market.
Yeah,
all 4 of our beers won.
Nice,
which was super cool, because it was for me, one of the beers was like my first recipes that I wrote strictly by myself.
Yeah,
and brewed on my own. And so we did it, and we submitted it. So and that beer was a blackberry cream ale.
Nice.
And that won second. We did an oatmeal cookie stout that ended up on Papazian's table, and we won gold.
Nice.
So and that was actually finished with fresh oatmeal cookies in the beer. So it's always kind of interesting when you do different beers. I mean, we had our smoked porter took bronze in that competition. And the rum barrel aged coconut porter took bronze as well in that competition.
That's awesome, man.
It's it's interesting out in Colorado. Those big dark beers are hard to place. Because there's some of those boys out there who do some big stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's just nice
Kinda
to play in their
known for
backyard.
it,
When you get to play in their backyard a little bit, it's kind of cool to see, how some of your beers hold up to some of those guys. And
we obviously did well.
Yes. Now we just got to do it on the big show.
Just recreate it on a big level.
So now we just got to open up and actually get these boys to place in some of into the really big ones, like the World Beer Cup and things like that, and the Great American Beer Festival. And I don't know if you've ever been to Great American.
Mm-mm.
So GABF, which is the Great American Beer Festival, is just insane stupidity.
Is it kind of like that movie Beer Fest?
Yeah. So
right,
I think this past year, there was like 5,500 beers to try.
Holy mother of pearl!
It was like 700 and some breweries, I believe. It's just like, it's insane. I mean, it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I think Thursday night they have 1 session, and then they have 2 sessions on Friday and Saturday. And then they have the award ceremony and stuff was on Saturday morning for the brewers. And it's always super cool because once the award ceremony ends, all the brewing companies get in line, and they work their way up to the main floor And then you walk in and like they have all these bagpipes playing and everything as all the brewers come in with all their medals and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
You get in there and just try a stupid amount of beer. So, but you know, that festival sells out in less than an hour.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, they go on sale typically, I think, in July. And it's just, I mean, you have to be ready to pull the trigger in order for every session you want to get.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
That's wild, man. I know a lot of those, you know, niche things like that. It's like you're waiting at Ticketmaster and like it's like, boom, I got one, you know. So what's the timeline on your brewery?
So right now, this past weekend we actually started remediation of asbestos.
Okay.
And then we're hoping to break ground on construction June or July.
Okay.
It's going to be, right now we're waiting on notification from the state on exactly when we can start utilizing funds.
Okay.
Things of that nature. So, you know, there's a lot of parameters you have to go around with all that kind of stuff. And, you know, so if it's up to me, I want things moving in June, you know, because I'm trying to get this brewery open spring of next year.
Nice.
So it's because I mean now that building needs a lot of TLC before I can even get in there.
Yeah.
But then once I can get in there, then we got to get the equipment set up, and you know we got a lot of different aesthetics and things just completely built out.
Sure. So you're going to do all of your kind of aging and everything within the premises, or are you going to do barrel aging underneath, or do you have an offsite?
Everything will be there. We're going to do a lot of aging inside of our inside of the conicals, things of that nature, using staves and chips and things like that and stuff. There will be isolated barrels that we'll have on site, like when we do our collaboration with J.H. Bard and things of that nature. We'll have those barrels on site for people to see.
Sure.
And stuff like that. There's a group that I'll be bringing in the cognac barrels from and all that stuff. So.
I want to try one of those because,
Yeah.
like I said, that brandy finish was just insane, and cognac's so smooth.
Yeah, it's even with gin, you know, like I said, that with the blonde ale with cucumbers and mint that's aged on gin and stuff of that nature is really super cool. So.
What's the wildest thing that you've used in a recipe?
Oh my God! Outside of the butterfly pea flowers,
Gym socks.
Shit. Probably. Honestly, I think it's really the probably the butterfly pea flower. Really.
Okay.
It's just because you know what you're going to get. It's so hard. So many breweries have tried to utilize it, and they end up with this dirty water. It's like gray.
Yeah.
And we were in a nightmare situation because it was the same thing for us, and it's like, we took a sample of it and it was gray. I'm like, oh, shit, it looks like dirty water, and we let it sit there and stuff, and then we ended up, we went ahead and kegged it and let it rest, and after lagering, we poured it and we're like, holy shit, it actually came out purple. So, it's one of those moments of
holding your breath.
It is,
please, Lord.
A lot, and that's the thing. I mean, you know how it is with craft. You never know. You're going to do some unique shit, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to dump it. And that's the thing for us. I have no issues dumping a beer.
Yeah.
If it's not the quality, if it's not what we want, I'd rather dump it, start over, and take the loss.
Yep. The only brew I did here was with a friend, and we just I was like, man, I got a brew system. I really want to brew. You want to come over and hang out and let's try one. And I just tried just a simple session IPA, like a 6% or something simple. There was nothing crazy about the beer until it didn't carbonate correctly. And then, thank you, sir. And then, an IPA, you want it to push the head and the smell, and you want the carbonation to be up there. And it was flat, and it just it was so malty tasting. I was like, what did I do? How did I forget every single thing that I've learned? And honestly, I think I went with a water that was really flat, and it didn't have hardly any nutrients in it. I didn't go with the town water. And, I threw my Whirlflock in and did all that stuff, and it was a great clear beer, and everything was good, and it settled out. It hit my end gravity that I wanted, but for some reason the yeast just underperformed to what I thought it would do. You know, I was like, and when you get bottle conditioning, you're kind of at the mercy, and you just pray that your sugar works. You know what I mean?
I mean, you'll see. I mean, we do an orange creamsicle that we do. It tastes just like that orange creamsicle popsicle that you get.
Logan's all about that one too. Logan, I feel like you're all about the craft beer, my friend.
It's, you know, there's just so much you can do, and that's really what we want to show people, and that's what's super cool with, like, even with the breweries that have opened. You know, it's, you know, Moon Hollow. You know, she's doing some great stuff out there. You know, and you know, so seeing, like, you know, these local breweries starting to really make adjustments and changes to the types of beer they're doing. You know, Brandon over at Eastern Divides, you know, killing it. Yeah. He's another veteran, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
You know?
I didn't know that, man.
So it's
support your veteran brewers.
Yeah,
please.
You know, there's a lot of us coming up, and, you know, so it's, you know, getting into, you know, what's going to be super cool for us is, you know, my goal is to be able to have like a whole, like, collaboration with the whole area, you know, where, you know, we all can meet up and we can do, like, you know, pull 5 of us or whatever together, you know, a whole group of us, and sit down and create a recipe. I mean, it's kind of like Long Way, you know, Kim out Long Way, she's doing a fantastic job. If you guys haven't been out there recently, head over there. She's got an amazing Pilsner that she just did.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
They had a comedy night last night, I think. And one of our guests this last month, Derek Nowlin, was there. And just a hilarious dude. But I like that they're doing that side of things too, you know. You almost have to be community forward and really dig in. And, you know, the people that I think are missing out aren't doing that. Really involving the community, involving the different niche markets within that community. You know, as a marketing person, you know, that's so vital.
Well, once you know, my brewery opens up in Pulaski, it's going to help create a really cool trail too through this whole area. When you go from, like, Roanoke, I mean, we've got breweries starting up everywhere. Yeah, you know, it's, you know, Blacksburg's taken off. We've got Salem, we've got Roanoke. You know, you got Christiansburg now with Iron Tree, and you got Long Way down in Radford, as well as the River Course.
Yep.
And now, you know, once we go into Pulaski, you know, there's really not many other spots. You know, when you get down, you get down to Withville. We got breweries in Withville.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, $7 is great.
Okay.
You know, if you ever get a chance to get down there, $7 is fantastic. You know, but on your way to Asheville, you have all these spots now, like through Virginia.
Sure.
You know, that's creating this really cool brewery trail.
Yeah. And there was a gap, right?
Yeah, I mean,
for a while,
there was a big gap with Pulaski. Everybody's bypassing the town.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they don't bypass the town anymore. They stop in to see me. So
I'm sure they will.
You know, but I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. Like I said, you know, from, you know, just different events within the biking community, holding the different cycling races.
Yep. I was a big mountain biker for years, man. It just kind of goes together for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking to do some events on the New River Valley Trail that ended, because the trail's right on the other side of the brewery. Yeah. You know, so the door trail's right there.
That's awesome.
You know, we'll be doing some 5K, 10K races, you know, probably do some rucksacks and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
For our veteran guys.
Yeah, that'll be killer.
You know, nothing like, you know, putting on a pack again and humping around the town.
Oh gosh, and then getting a few beers afterwards.
Yeah, you know, it's really what it's about. I mean, we're looking to do a poker run.
Cool.
You know, and I'm hoping to be able to do where we can eventually have the car show. I want to do a motorcycle rally and stuff of that nature down there, and I'd like to do a farmer show and get the farmers to come out with some of their big equipment.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, I'm a country boy.
Dude, me too.
You know, my family had a big farm up in Pennsylvania, and, you know, and some of these guys, you know, have some, you know, old antique tractors,
harvesters,
and a lot of like regular people have never seen a combine. I mean, you bring in some of these big boy tractors, and like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, take up half the road. You know. But, you know, so, you know, I'd like to get, you know, all our local farmers out. And, you know, speaking of which, you know, we've actually, you know, we're going to be, you know, working with local farmers on taking our spent grain.
Oh, that's nice.
So that they can turn around and and feed it to their cattle and
That's
stuff
killer.
like that. It's so good for them
Yeah,
at that point.
I've got chickens we're getting ready to do, and let's eat some of those.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this. Let's take one more break.
Sure.
We'll get to our other sponsor, and then we'll be right back.
Perfect.
Everyone has a story, and everyone has a past that shaped them into who they are today. Do you wish you could sit back and listen to your loved ones with great expression and laughter talk about the good old days, how they got to where they're at, their love, their passion, and what made them who they are? Well, now you can. My Story is offering a service that will go directly to your loved ones and capture this moment in time. Let's listen to their stories. Let's watch their expressions as they laugh and as they cry, because life is but a journey. These are your words. This is your story. This is the mark that you left on the world. And leaving this gift for your family, for your grandkids and their grandkids, is one of the best things that you could leave behind. I know I wish I could hear my grandmother laugh one time, or to hear my grandfather's stories, or get some advice on the garden. And that's the whole reason that I wanted to offer this, is because these moments, this knowledge, it can be captured for generations to come. Goodness gracious, everybody was refilling on the sour. I think that's my favorite so far.
Yeah, I have to agree myself.
Yeah, it's a really good sour, my friend.
Thank you.
Well played.
I like a good IPA. Actually, to be honest with you, we have a rye IPA, which will pretty much be one of a rye IPA. Rye IPA. That'll be one of our core beers, and I'm just a huge fan.
Yeah,
there's a period of time in the beer industry where rye IPAs were non-existent.
Yeah.
And then they've fallen off of it as of recently. Not a lot of people have been doing them, at least not on this area.
Yeah.
And, the rye really sets a tone on an IPA.
Got a little spice.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Pull that mic up just a little bit if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Perfect.
The Sweetwater Brew Company down in Atlanta, Georgia, God, I wish they would bring their rye IPA back. Theirs is called Lowrider.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think I remember that one.
Man,
Sweetwater 420. Yeah.
Their Lowrider, which is their rye IPA, was just amazing beer. So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's in our closet. I don't think they're gonna bring it back. They were ahead of the game in rye IPAs before it really got hot.
Yep.
So.
It's kind of like Dogfish to me. Dogfish was really pushing some cool high gravity stuff, East Coast, It's just awesome. I don't know. That's one of the places that I really wanted to tour, but I never got around to making it.
Dogfish is a cool place.
You been there?
Yeah.
So lucky.
Yeah. Victory Brewing Company, all those
Victory,
guys up there. It's they make some amazing beers.
Yeah.
And, there's so many breweries that do great stuff.
Yep.
So
there's nothing like getting it from the brewery too.
Yeah.
Just right off the tap. What's your favorite brewer or brewery? Let's say that, because you can have two different favorites.
Who's my favorite brewery? That's an amazing question. Honestly, Avery Brewing Company is one of my favorite.
Okay.
By far. And I'd have to say, Upslope Brewing Company in Boulder.
Okay.
Man, they do some amazing, beautiful beer. So there's just so much. There's stuff I like from so many breweries.
Yeah.
It's hard to say one specific brewery is my total favorite. But I can identify different beers from every single brewery. That's just kind of wow. It's man, I remember this beer from them. It's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And I think that's the coolest thing with craft is It's like you can bounce around to so many different breweries and you can identify a specific beer that's like, man, I love that beer. over
That
there.
beer.
You know, it's and that's the way it is. It's, just bouncing around, finding like, God, it's like when I was I went out to California and I was visiting Stone in Escondido.
Yeah.
And I bounced into a brewery out there called Pizza Port Brewing Company.
Okay.
And Pizza Port is just killing it in the competition. Like, I mean, killing it in the Great American Beer Festival. And you walk in there and they've got 40 taps and like 20 IPAs. It's like, holy shit, there's a lot of IPAs here. But it's amazing because there's so many, when you start to try some of those beers and, they do an amazing effort of bringing in guest taps and, and all that stuff. And unfortunately,
I think that's crucial, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Virginia, we're in a tough spot where you can't do that.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Virginia's got some twisted laws.
Well, yeah,
so,
Commonwealth.
Yeah. And, where like a lot of these other states, I could go to, say Moon Hollow and I can pull, say, hey, why don't we, have one of your beers over here and you can have one of my beers over on their tap.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing a collaboration where, we each have to brew it at our facility, I can actually bring in a guest tap.
Yeah.
And so some states will allow you to do that. Virginia can't. So,
that's stupid.
Yeah. At least not
Virginia.
At least not that I've been in.
Because you're regulated.
Yet, so.
They're regulated. I guess it's to stop them from bringing in like a home brewer and filing it under something else. You never know. Virginia has some laws that are like, really?
Yeah.
Let's get out of the 1800s.
I know, right? So, at some point, for us, like, I mean, we'll move, some kegs to restaurants and stuff like that. I just got to figure out the whole distribution side of things. So,
sure.
Yeah, distributors are going to rape you. So
they're going to take their half.
Yeah, unless I create my own distributorship. So
there you go. It's like the music business. You got to own the rights to your music. Own your publishing and you'll be fine. It's when people sell the rights to their music. They're like, why am I not making any money?
But you got to do it different, like kind of like Big Lick did it the right way, where his wife had they had a distributorship under his wife's name.
Perfect.
So it's like perfect, stuff like that. So we'll see. My brother's moving down here, so he's gonna be part of the brewery as well. And
cool, man.
He's actually gonna bring his company down here as well, which is super cool. He's a PDR guy.
Okay.
So he does paintless dent removing. And he's one of the best I've ever seen. Like, he's been doing this for 30 years.
I got to hit him up. I got 2 dents on my Escalade, man.
God. I watched him, man. This guy had an old Barracuda, got caught in a hailstorm.
Oh.
And had 187 dents in the deck hood. And he pulled them all out. I'm like,
no dents.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want any body work. He goes, I'll leave my car with you for as long as it takes. And he dropped off his car at his house and he was pulling. He just went to work on it, and it was.
That's an art form within itself, man.
I mean, I've seen the stuff that he's pulled out of cars. I'm like, man,
yeah, it's wild. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do this. Here's a new section that I've created for the podcast. It's called Random Freaking Questions.
Shit, here we go.
All right, so you ready for it?
No.
What keeps you up at night?
Besides my insomnia.
Yes. What do you think about? What keeps you up, brother?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
You just mind race?
Yeah. Yeah. My mind races, whether it's, beer.
Yeah.
Beer's always on my mind. So, I have a big heart. I think about, a lot of my veteran friends and things like that nature.
It's understandable.
Stuff like nature. I try to be a big resource for everybody. And
and I think you're just going to be getting bigger as this proceeds.
Everybody, from the veteran community knows they can reach out to me. I don't care what time of the night it is. I really don't sleep much, so it doesn't bother me. So
gotcha.
If I get a couple hours, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, at one point I was only sleeping about 30 minutes a night.
Damn, man. Just brain won't shut off. It's understandable.
Yeah, just kind of running.
You have PTSD at all?
No, not me.
No.
Not me.
Yeah. So just kind of.
I've been fortunate.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate. Some of these guys have seen so much stuff that just takes you, it's
We've had a few on, and just the stories and dealing with that. It's
for me, it's I didn't have to go through some of that, so but I can be here for them, and that's the biggest thing. It's I'll tell you a quick story. I hired a young kid, at the current company that I work at and went to a program called Hiring Our Heroes.
Oh, nice.
And it was a great program. And I hired this kid. When I first met him, he'd never had a civilian job before.
Oh, okay.
He left for the Marine Corps right out of high school.
Yep.
And when I met him, he was on terminal leave in the Marine Corps. So, and I asked him, for me, I understand transitional skills. There's so many transitional skills that veterans have that a lot of companies can't identify. They don't understand. All they look at is what's on paper.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of transitional skills. So talking with him, I didn't really need to ask him much. I only had to ask him one question. And I asked him, I was like, what was the one thing that you're most proud of while serving on active duty in the Marine Corps? And he said, being deployed to Afghanistan and being promoted to fire team leader and bringing back my whole team alive when my unit had the most casualties than anybody.
Gave me chills. Damn right.
The thing that was most amazing about that statement was he was 19 years old.
But to have that on your conscience and in your mind at 19.
Right. That's what most people don't understand. A lot of these guys are so young, when they get put in those situations, and there's so much that they have to deal with and identify, so much stress and pressure. And that was the biggest thing. And I hired him, and he was one of the best employees I ever had, and he killed it for me. And he ended up, another company, a software company, came in and just snatched him away.
The old snatcheroo.
And they just gave him a great deal. And it was a big turning point for his life, And
Good.
remember, he got married, and he gave me this big shout out at his wedding about giving him this chance when nobody else would. And
the impact you had on his life, man. That's awesome.
And to me, that's what it's all. I'm here for people. I want to be here for veterans, and even when they're in their worst moment.
Yeah.
It's I got strong shoulders, so
yeah.
I can help shoulder anybody that's in having a hard time.
Yeah, we need to get you connected with the buddy check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe a potential for that to happen with you guys. All right. Well, thank you for doing that for them, brother. All right. Next one. What is the most irrational superstition you have? You superstitious at all?
I'm not. I'm not.
You believe in ghosts?
No.
You believe in aliens?
No.
Do you believe in James? No. Because he's a ghost and an alien. So
it's hard for me to say that, but I don't know. I say I don't believe in ghosts and stuff like that, but I tell you what, I've had some good horror movies that had scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
so.
No doubt. What's your favorite horror movie?
The Shining.
Oh, gotta be.
And
I would go back and watch it and realize how terrible some of that acting is.
Oh yeah.
Compared to. But all right, so let's move on. Here's the next one. Then I got to try this freaking other one. All right, what are two things that you think are normal, but become really strange if you do them repeatedly?
Wow.
I got you thinking, man.
It is. Give me that question again.
Just do one. What is one thing that you think is normal, but it would become strange if you do it repeatedly?
Man, I couldn't even tell you.
Like wiping your butt. Like if you did that nonstop, that'd be like, dude, something is wrong with Scott, man. He has to leave all the time to wipe his bottom.
Yeah, it's kind of like picking your nose, I guess, right?
But if you do it repeatedly, you just get calloused. That'd be weird.
People think you're strange.
People think you were strange. I mean,
It's not like pulling up at a traffic light and you look over and the guy next to you's got his finger halfway up to the third knuckle.
Picking a winner, dude. You know, I feel like that happens to me every single day. I'll pull up next to somebody, I'll be like, get it. That's what I usually say is get it.
Oh my God.
So what's the next one? I got to know. My glass is yearning.
All right. The next one is a peppermint porter.
Oh boy.
So it's a great little beer.
All right. Is it little or is it?
Oh yeah. It's not bad. It's only 6.7%.
Okay.
It's American porter, 36 IBUs. It's brewed with candy cane, shit ton of canteens.
Okay.
So
That push your ABV up a little bit. Did you have to be aware of that?
not so much.
Okay.
You know, it did. We thought that was going to jump up, pretty much, but I mean, it stayed right where we wanted it at the end of the day.
Have you ever thought about dry hopping with a candy cane?
No,
I wonder if that would work, if it would just gum everything up.
dry hopping at the end. You'd have to deal with the yeast kicking back up with the sugar.
Yeah, I feel like that would, it would have to
Like
dissolve.
start it up.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
restart.
Start everything. But this one here, it's got, it's medium bodied.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to see what you think of it.
Yeah,
So,
love it.
all right.
Anything peppermint. I did a peppermint chocolate milk stout as one of my last beers, and I put the bottle cap that's got the turquoise snowflake on it. You know which one I'm talking about? That you can get at every Northern Brewer catalog in the world. All right.
Lost that one somewhere here.
Uh-oh. You got the bees stewing over there. There she is. Ooh. That's a very tan head. I like that. Porter head. Got the porter head.
This is gonna be hefty. It's gonna set me right down.
You know, the best part about my night is I took off a little bit of time we had a couple meetings this morning, a couple showings, and I was painting my cabinets. I did some built-ins and, in the house, and I wanted to do them. I did it in like a satin black, and I did my kitchen cabinets and stuff like that. And throughout the whole deal, I was like, oh, I got to get my kids. I got to do this. We got to prep for the podcast. And typically I eat dinner. I haven't had a lick to eat since 11 a.m. this morning. So
Beer's good for you then.
so it's perfect for me. I'm a cheap drunk tonight. I'm a cheap date.
I've been running ragged, and I ended up, I just grabbed some sushi.
Oh,
So
I
was
had
like,
sushi the other night. I got to be careful, dude. I got a shellfish allergy that I got. I used to be in a band. Here's a quick story of it. I used to be in a band. We played at Ton 80 in Blacksburg, which used to be like kind of a darts bar and all this stuff. Played like a 60-minute set, smoky bar. I went home, smoked. I used to smoke Black & Milds, and I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning like I was breathing through a straw. I got pneumonia. I was the vocalist. And ever since then, I've had a shellfish allergy, an allergy to cats,
Well,
and cigarette smoke. It'll just clog me up, crazily. It's aggravating. So, yeah, there's that story.
I used to smoke as well. I actually quit June of '98.
Oh, you did? Cheers, my friend. Let's check this porter out.
Drum roll.
There it is, my friend. And it's all mouthfeel, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be my allergy, but I don't get any peppermint. I get like the smallest bit of like, and it's probably, again, because of me, of menthol, like a menthol-like type off the head of it.
Yeah, that your allergy. How about yourself over there?
I definitely am getting the peppermint.
You do.
Yeah.
See, but my tongue's getting it, It has a great silky feel to it, just a good porter feel to it.
Oh, and the finish on the backside is kind of cooling with the peppermint too. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not overwhelming at all. That's great.
I appreciate it.
Yep. You know what I expected with a porter? You kind of if I were to be tasting a stout with it, I would expect a smoother transition into the peppermint, if that makes sense. Like a creamier transition into the peppermint. And this one is more black and white to me. There's a definite differentiation. And again, it could be my sinuses, but it's a great porter. And then I'm pulling the peppermint off of it and then the silkiness on the back end. I think it's great. It's a good divide between, you know what I mean? I think that's great.
And this is the reason why you finish with this one.
Yeah.
Because it would kill everything else in the process.
You'd have to, what is it? If you're smelling colognes for men, you have to take a break and sniff some coffee beans to get your palate right. Very good, man. Listen, you guys, I cannot wait for this to open just so you guys can taste this, the people that are listening.
Yeah.
Because you really have some great beer.
Appreciate it.
What's fermenting right now?
Right now is the non-alcoholic Irish Stout just finished.
Okay.
And then we've got the new West Coast IPAs and fermentation.
Okay.
So
Nice.
And then the new gluten-free Pilsner will come in next week.
Okay.
So
Killer, man. How many do you try to keep fermenting?
right now, we've been pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And we typically brew 4 beers a month.
Nice.
So
Every weekend? Is that the type of thing you do, or you?
sometimes, weekends during the week, whatever,
Yeah.
Right now it's just a matter of getting through. We have a goal of specific items that we want to have tested prior to opening.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to, that way, once we open, we can just brew beer. We don't have to do a lot on the experimental side of things for a little bit. Obviously, we're always going to be playing with stuff.
Sure.
But having the portfolio that we're creating will allow us to, a good headway.
Yeah.
So
Are you leery about the process of transitioning up to a larger system?
no, our program currently is all computerized.
Nice.
So
it does it.
yeah, we've already got everything scaled for the new system. So we put both systems in there that we are looking to land, and that way all of our recipes are already scaled.
What program do you use?
Beersmith 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I remember looking at it when I was really getting serious about that and the scalings of it, because when I went from my initial 5-gallon type thing, I wanted to revisit some of my brews, and I think it was Brewsmith. Is that correct? Or there was some program that I used, and I plugged in my grain bill.
Beersmith.
Yeah. And I plugged that in, and it gave me my 10-gallon mash bill.
As long as you get your system in there, once you have your system in there, you can structure everything on the increase.
Yeah. So in the meantime, like, people are going to be listening to this and just dying to know, how can I try these beers? What can I do? Are you guys doing anything in the interim to where you're having tasting somewhere, to where you're doing anything like, is that frowned upon?
Yeah. The state won't allow us to outside of really my house.
Yeah.
So, and that's really where it comes down to.
That is a crying shame for humanity, because these are great.
I mean, you'd be amazed at how many people actually come by the house. I had a large showing the other year, right before all COVID stuff, but and we had probably 30, 40 people at the house.
Awesome.
Just running through trying beer and stuff in the same day.
That's killer, man.
But now it's right now I'm running probably tastings 3 times a week.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah.
Things are getting ready to get light. I'm about ready to kick a bunch of kegs, and then we're just gonna crank some new beers to fill it up for early spring. So,
Nice.
And so anybody out there, if you find me, I'll be doing.
If you find him,
yeah, if you find me, hit me up. I'll be posting a thing coming up on social media, where I'll be in downtown Pulaski,
Cool.
for people to find me in town, and I'll be handing out swag and
bro, you need a lemonade
stuff like
stand.
that. So I know, right?
Just a little front, just a little lemonade stand down at the park. You get all the soccer dads and moms.
I've had a couple people down there already that kind of hit me up, and they've actually come by and tried some beer and,
that's cool.
and had a good time, and they're actually fans of yours. I know they follow you here. So
really? Killer, man.
So it's, like I said, I have no issues with people coming, wanting to come by, as long as I plan it out.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So,
well, I'm looking forward to this for you, for the community, for me as a selfish person to have something to do. And I really, really appreciate you bringing these in and allowing myself and the guys to try them. And as we get closer to the launch, I'd love to bring you back and maybe have your brewmaster come in and have a Scott squared kind of hanging out situation, and maybe we can dig a little deeper in, and maybe we could figure out a way to do an announcement or something special to make it cool for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can, we'll talk about it. We'll, we could probably even score one, closer to when we're brown breaking and stuff of that nature.
That's what I'd love, man. I'd love to use it as a promotional tool for you, and as well as to try some new cool stuff. And I'm just all about it. And thank you again. This is literally, for people that don't brew, they don't understand the love and the time and the passion and creativity that goes in this for you. So for you to share it with us, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to make one quick statement here for
please.
everybody that likes to listen, is that, there's one pet peeve I have, and that's Untapped.
Okay.
Right. And a lot of consumers love to rate it, you know. And the one thing that I will say for everybody is just, we always remember the craft. There's a lot of love that goes into making a beer, no matter whether you like it or not.
Truth.
So, rating beers on Untapped really shouldn't fall below 3.
Yeah.
When you rate a beer a 3, the brewer knows.
Yeah.
The brewer knows,
Yeah.
But there's still, it's the understanding of a lot of hard work, a lot of money, a lot of passion went into it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether something's wrong with it or not, it's hard. I mean, if something's really bad, all flavors, that's a whole nother story.
Sure.
But just because it's not your style.
That's what kills me.
Yeah.
I don't really like, IPAs. This is a 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's an IPA.
Right.
What do you expect? You don't like IPAs.
And I say it just because I was at, I was at a brewery here locally, and I overheard a table and they were going away on the cell phone on Untapped and stuff like that. It was just one of those moments of you may not like it, but a lot of work went into it.
Yeah.
So
You gotta respect it.
Yeah, and just remember, because breweries utilize it as a tool.
Yeah.
Whether consumers think of it or not, breweries do utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes a big difference.
It does. So have a brain when you're reviewing your beers. If it's not your style, it's not your style. That doesn't mean it's not a good representation of that style. Right. But what I'm going to tell you guys is every style that I have tried tonight, I can tell has been thought out and greatly executed. And I really appreciate it. And if you guys see Scott on the streets of Pulaski, ask him to go to his house, hang out, and try these. But Scott, I just want to thank you so much, brother. Thank you for your time, and let's do this again.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Until next time, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Up and light a microphone with your speakers. What if your legals? Where's your microphone? You better ask him. You're liable to tell you wrong.